Very excited to be sharing this client testimonial this morning. It's a baby buy-to-let project up in the northeast. Over to Julian to talk through the numbers and why he needed a bridging loan.
Hi guys, Daniel's asked me to do a quick video on our latest deal, so I thought I'd share some of the details and the process with you. So the latest deal that we got, we found through a sourcing agent called Flora Russo, who's a connection from Legacy. And this particular property was up in the northeast of England, in a place called Stanley, which is close to Newcastle. And we found this property, Flora had actually sourced it through an auction. So the purchase price was 39,999, which was just below the 40k, which meant that we didn't have to pay any stamp duty. So that was great. But obviously, being kind of a fairly low price property, we needed to find some funding. So that's when I got in touch with Daniel. And he was able to bridge the finance for us with a bridging loan from a SaaS provider. So that was quite interesting to me in particular, because it was the first time that I'd kind of used that. But essentially they provided 75% loan to value, so about 30k on the purchase. So we actually only put down 10k. We then spent approximately £5,000 on ancillary costs. I call them ancillary costs. It's legal fees, bridging loan fees, insurances, those sorts of costs to purchase a property. And then we spent £15,000 on a refurb. So 6 months down the line, we've just finished our refinance, and the property was valued at £80,000, which was pretty much exactly what we had kind of calculated in our estimates when we purchased the property. So that essentially meant that we refinanced the property on a term loan, 75% loan to value. So we got £60,000, which then paid off the bridging loan, 30 grand, and also paid off all the other fees that were involved with a purchase. So it was basically a MIMO deal, so money in, money out. I think we were about a couple of £100 off, but that means that we've got a nice little property that will be cash flowing pretty much with profit from the get-go. So that was great. And I'm definitely looking to doing some more with Daniel in the future as well. Thanks.
So just going through those numbers again for you, the purchase price for this project was 39,999. That was financed with a £10,000 deposit from the borrower and a £30,000 bridging loan from DJF. The purchasing costs of £5,000 were ancillary costs, so that's about £3,000-4,000 of bridging and £1,000 to £2,000 of legal fees. No stamp duty to pay because the purchase was under £40,000. There's a £15,000 renovation. What does that involve? It's usually a kitchen, a bathroom, modernisation of those two units specifically, because that's where you're demonstrating the biggest increase in value. Usually spending between £3,000 and £5,000 on each of those, depending on the amount of works. Obviously varies project to project. Decoration throughout, so maybe upgrading of a combi boiler, maybe a few radiators replacing, plastering, skimming, painting and flooring, that sort of thing. But for this sort of price, nothing too comprehensive. You're not doing a full rewire. That's another £3,000. Installation of a full plumbing system, that's another £3,000 to £5,000. No roof, so nothing too structural there in terms of the refurb. So total money that the borrower required to do the deal, instead of needing £60,000, which was the total cost, they only needed £30,000 there because their deposit and refurb was topped up by a £30,000 bridging loan. The timelines for achieving this sort of refurb, for a turnkey project like that, a builder may allow 6 weeks. For a refurb, 6 to 8 weeks, if things are a bit more difficult, to allow for the projects getting in, rip out, getting trades on site. So we say allow the first 3 months for the refurb on a project like this, after which you'll be tenanting the property and refinancing. I mentioned here this project took 6 months for Julian to from the date of purchase to refinance. That's pretty fast. You can allow. I always say to clients, allow for 12 months. Ask for a 12-month loan. If you pay back early, it just means you're on that cheaper finance that a little bit quicker. Julian mentions value was £80,000 for the post-refurb value of the property, which means he was able to raise a 75% mortgage. That's 75% of the £80,000 value, a £60,000 mortgage to repay the bridging loan of £30,000 plus all his ancillary fees of purchasing costs, renovation and deposit. So he's got that money back to go again and secure his next project with. And finally, the cash flow calculation we've got here, I think this one did actually go on to long-term 3, 5 or 7 years with a social housing provider. So that's solid cash flow cemented for the period. That's £450 per month, less £90 for management and operating expenses, with a mortgage of £150 at just over 3% at current rates for a 75% limited company buy-to-let mortgage. Gives us a cash flow of just under £200 per month. That's £2,200 to £2,300 per year, guaranteed for the next 5 years with a 5-year social housing contract. So pretty fantastic deal. Again, as I mentioned, this is a typical project found within the DJF loan portfolio. We're funding them in the northeast, in the northwest, in Scotland, and in Wales. Bit about other geography, maybe in the Midlands and the southeast. You're looking more HMO and development sort of projects. People are really pushing a different strategy down there, just because you're not getting the buy-to-let model doesn't work as well. You're not getting cash flow as such. It's more of a capital appreciation play, so people buying to sell. But again, the underlying theme here is income producing property, and that's a big focus for us going into the new year. Would love to hear from anyone if they've got any questions about the project. Happy to answer those, and potential new projects. We're always on the hunt for them. Thanks for tuning in. Take care, guys.